Welcome back to Creative Lens. I'm your host, Uncle Dice, and today we have a very special guest of the show, a multi-talented brother all the way from Durban, a proper fashion brew, a proper creative, someone who's dear to my heart, my little brother, a very good friend, Malcolm, co-founder, creative director of Refuse Clothing. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you so much, Maloons.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Hey man, we're outside, we're chilling. Things are nice. Danga, as you always say. How's you doing, man?
No, I'm good, Uncle. Just taking it day by day. It's a new year. Just planning out the new year, how we're going to kill it. But yeah.
And what are the plans? I mean, since you're planning the new year, maybe we can start there.
I don't want to give away a lot, but we're working on a couple of projects this year, exciting projects that very, very impactful to, to the culture and to the inspiration of a kid that's always had a dream to do something and they didn't believe in it. But it's exciting times.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of a kid, man, you're from Durban. How's that? Tell me, maybe we can just start from the beginning. Yeah. How was Durban, man? Maybe tell us where you're from and how we got here today.
Actually, I was born and bred in Jozi, Soweto, from Sotra, and then eventually moved to Durban when my mom got a job. My mom and dad got a job, and we relocated, and I did my primary school there. I did my high school there, and then I did my university there, and I studied fashion and textile there. So that's kind of like been the journey of my life. I went to a fashion school to learn about clothing, how to master my craft. It was not easy at all. Failed a couple of times. But that's why I'm sitting right next to you right now.
I mean, speaking of which, man, maybe let's go back a bit. When you're in school, how was that? Did you play sport?
High school.
Yeah.
High school. I played soccer.
What number were you playing?
So I used to play. I used to be a midfielder. I've always been this like a creative person. So I was in the center, dishing out the passes as I am today.
Oh wow!
Dishing out. But I was a midfielder. So I used to play center, and then I would initially go into the wings. But yeah,
that was what it was. And then where did the knack for fashion start? Was it during the time? Was it at home? Did anybody make fashion at home? How was that?
I would say it came from home, but not necessarily. I was never influenced by anyone from home to start fashion.
Okay.
I feel like I've always, growing up, I always liked clothes in general. My mom used to buy me clothes, and then when I think I was in grade 10, I started a little business at school where if ever you wanted your school pants to be skinny, skinny jeans were in fashion at the time. So.
Okay.
I started that little business where I would make an extra 30 Rand from students, so I used to, make sure that their pants are skinny.
How was that? Were you reworking the pants?
Yeah, so basically because you obviously buy a pant and it's quite big, and I would kind of measure it, pin it, and then I used to stitch by hand at the time. And then my dad was like, "Yo, man, Granny has a machine back at home. Do you want to bring it down?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I think that's kind of where the wheel turned for me, when I just started playing with it. And it was a vintage machine. It wasn't this new ones. It was those ones that you can even start sewing with the hand, with your hand. I mean,
it was very manual.
You could plug it in, but it was very manual. So even when we live in a country of load shedding, so even when there was load shedding, I would be going.
Oh wow, man! So how old were you at this time? What grade was this?
I was in grade, I think grade 10, 11. And then like officially like just after matric, that's when I was like, okay, cool. I know what I want to study, you know. But it was also not like an easy journey for me because my mom always had like a different, you know, plan for me.
And what was the plan?
She initially wanted me to go into, you know, dental. She wanted me to be a doctor, but I was just like, yo, man, I really love fashion and it's a part of me. So she was like, okay, cool, let's try it out, you know.
Okay.
I remember like I first went to college.
Yeah. And what college was this?
I went to Inscape. So I did like I think it was like a 1-year course there. Yo, I failed. It was so bad because I came in with the mentality of, yo, I know fashion.
Yeah.
I've been doing this shit at home, you know, stitching and stuff. And then when you get there, it's like theory, you know, of fashion, the history of fashion.
Wow.
You're learning about, you know, all these designers that have done amazing things in this world. You're learning about patterns.
Yeah.
You're learning about different sewing techniques, you know. And at that time, I didn't understand that. I think I was also distracted by, you know, the noise outside, you know. Just came out of school. I have the freedom to do anything I want, you know. So, yeah, I failed at Inscape. And then, you know, it was a very, like, disappointing and a very depressing part of my life. I spoke to my mom. She was like, okay, let's go. You can go to DUT, you know. So I went to the Durban University of Technology. I registered there. And then I initially started. And I failed again.
Oh, snap. And I mean, was this first semester?
No, like the whole year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I repeated like literally the whole year. And then my mom was like, yo, dude, I'm done, you know.
Snap.
Like, you're on your own now. So I remember like I also had to sit down with myself and be like, yo, man, do you really, really want this? Do you want to like change your life around? What do you actually want in your life, you know? And then I remember like the first year that I passed, obviously, that's where kind of like my journey started. Cause like,
so was this you going back to the first year?
Yes.
And this was your first semester results, I take it.
Yeah, so the first year at DUT, I failed the whole year. And then I had to return the next year because I didn't have anything to do but to be in school.
So how was that? Like, seeing your peers or the fellow students you were with the previous year ahead of you today, at the time.
I mean, like it was not a good experience for me. I didn't take it quite well, but as I said, like you choose what you actually want. You choose the friends. I feel like I also just started changing friends. I started, chilling with different people.
Yeah.
I started spending more time at school, and then I kind of like just saw a pattern. My life just changing around. I went from like a failure to like a proper A student at school.
Wow.
Started doing well. Started winning awards at school. So
what's the first award you won?
The first award, I think. Firstly, I made it to the top 5 of like Durban July.
Wow.
There was like kind of like, an end. I was like, oh my gosh.
So what was happening in the Durban July?
Recognized at that level, and I was like, oh, this is so amazing.
I mean, so we just pause over there. So what was this at the Durban July that you did pass? What was that? Or the top 5 you said?
Yeah. So top 5, they choose students across KZN.
Yeah.
And then during the Durban July, we create outfits that speak to the theme of the Durban July.
Of the July, the time.
Yeah. So as young, obviously creative students, you come in and you like kind of like lock in and create something that resonates to the theme. So I remember my theme was Back to the Future. So I had referenced the Back to the Future movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of like learned there like how to like, come up with the concept and then, do like a nice write up and make it make sense. Because now you're chilling in front of these judges and they're just like, what inspired you? And I was just like, whoa. I didn't know what to say at that time, but but because I thought of something and I created I created garments out of it, I was able to sit and explain to them what actually inspired me. And I was like, oh shit. So people actually buy into stories. So I'm just chilling with these judges here, and I'm convincing them that, take
That's
me,
it.
I'm the best,
Yeah.
And I've been playing that throughout like my whole career, where I kind of like have to, always, explain to people, this is why you should buy into this. People love the story more than anything, that, buy into this because, because this is what it means. This is what it can do for you. This is, you get to feel good. You get to feel better about yourself. You get to know where you come from.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess, that's always the power of storytelling, I guess.
Yeah.
And post this event, what happened next?
So yeah, obviously it was top 5 in July. I was so excited. I remember when I lost, I was just like so disappointed in myself. I was like, fuck. Oh my gosh. That was like one of the most, but because like I'm also used to like failure, I didn't take it too personal, but then I remember just saying, God, what do I have to do?
Go harder.
Yeah, and then the next year was obviously like range at school, and we created like 7 outfits for the DUT fashion show.
Okay.
And
So this is second year, I take it now.
3rd year now.
Oh, it's the 3rd year.
Yeah. So 3rd year now, created this beautiful range. I dug deep into like what are the things that I love, what made me fall in love with fashion. So I remember even when I was working on my stuff, a lot of people were laughing at me, and I'm like, yo, dude, I really want to capture, the attention of whoever who will be, the judge, or whoever will be marking, whoever who will be involved in that space. I want them to be like, wow, that's really amazing.
Okay.
And end of the year, we did the fashion show, and I walked away with like 2 awards.
Wow.
From the this best menswear range, I think, and then the other one was what was it? It was a Johnson Workwear award. Okay. So I eventually ended up going to work at Johnson Workwear straight after school.
Oh, and then how was that?
It was amazing. Like they do workwear, so I kind of like learned a lot about being technical. I'm sure with everything that we do in the brand, you'll see like a lot of like technical stuff where things need to be neat. It needs to be functional. It needs to be 100% cotton. It needs to serve something to someone, even though you're looking good in it. But then it needs to be amazing, So I think I picked up a lot from that specific space. I was like, oh man, I want to do this for my brand, but then with a little bit of more fashion and stuff, So Johnson Workwear was amazing. I spent a year there.
Okay.
And then I eventually ended up moving to Edgar's.
Oh, okay, cool. And then what was happening at Edgar's? Were you still doing design?
Yeah,
at the time?
Even the Edgar's job came up, so it was so crazy. So this girl bought a T-shirt from me, and she was wearing it at work. And then her manager was like, yo, who did this? And it's like, Malcolm. And then I got a call, and they're like, yo, man, we'd like you to come work here. And I just packed my bags and left.
Wow. So what T-shirt was this?
I can't remember the T-shirt.
What brand was this?
It was Refuse.
Wait. Pause. Then we have to kind of like stop there. At what point does Refuse get in the picture throughout?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's the school. At what point does Refuse fit in the picture here?
So in school, when I was, I think, first year, I met my bro, Minentle. He's also a co-founder of Refuse, I love him too much, So I met Minnie, and we started working on the brand. Started like doing shoots, I used to sew Refuse like by hand, I used to be that person, and that's kind of like how we connected with him, because he's also such a creative person. We were able to come up with like dope ideas, So we came up with Refuse, first year, obviously, and then. I like when I was at school, I kind of like when I started doing well at school, that's when I started understanding that I want the brand to be attached to my way of learning. So whatever that I would do at school, I would attach the brand to it.
Okay, but let's go back before that.
Yeah.
Was this first year of second year or first year? Because don't forget, you did say you did repeat, right? So which first year was it?
It's the first year that I repeated. We all repeated with my friends, all of us.
Okay.
We're not gonna drop names. But we all repeated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So then, where does Refuse come in? Do you just wake up one day and say we're making this fashion brand?
So
how
like-
did that particular moment come up to say? You know, like you always hear these stories, whether it's going to be Off-White, whether it's going to
Yeah.
be a record label, but there's always a point where the name does come up.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
I eventually had a brand called Misunderstood when I first got to school. And then I think Mini had a brand called Refuse. And then a friend of mine had a brand called Richmond Scave, one of the hottest brands, you know. So Sabelo is my close friend. So he calls me, he's like, yo, boy, I think you and Mini would work good together. You guys are so creative and stuff like that. So I end up sitting down with Mini because now Mini is asking me to do his stuff, you know, for Refuse at the time. You know, so I'm stitching his stuff, you know, while I'm doing my brand's work. So my brand was also kind of like going to come up. And then we sat down with Mini and like, okay, cool, man. Let's work together. We get to choose whether we want to stick with the brand Refuse or we go with Misunderstood. And then I was just like, yo, man, I feel like the name Refuse is quite strong. We can do a lot with it. So we just decided to stick with the brand Refuse.
Yeah.
The brand Refuse. And then we just like kind of like ran with it, you know. So that's kind of like how, you know, the story of Refuse started, you know. My boy came up with the name, and then I kind of like came up with the technicality, and I came up with the idea of, you know, introducing Isi into and culture and giving it a meaning to what it is, you know. And then, yeah, and then it kind of like grew from there.
Okay. So then this just goes back to the storytelling element, I take it.
Yeah.
As you said earlier on.
So the storytelling element where at school they taught us that the story sells more than anything. So why should I spend 2,000 Rand on that item? So how can I convince you to actually buy something from me? You know, so from that specific point, that's where we're like, okay, cool. We look up to a lot of people in the world, you know.
Yeah.
We look up to different brands. I mean, like, there are brands like Daily Paper, which kind of like played a huge role in what we do. Off-White, you know, Virgil is like still a person that I feel like changed my life, you know, in terms of how he articulated, you know, a lot of things and how he was able to build a brand and become one of the best, one of the hardest creative directors to ever come out of this, you know, to come up this world, you know. So I always looked at how they came up with their brand and how they attached the story behind it, and I was like, yo, man, I'm a kid from South Africa. How can I make, you know, myself be heard in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, me and my boy, then we just started to like, you know, build step by step, you know, and yeah, basically that's how the brand was born.
Okay, now how important are brands that you followed crucial to what you did? Was it a copy and paste thing at the time, or how were you really inspired?
I mean, for us, it wasn't a copy and paste per se, because also the brand, I think that's something that I missed out that's kind of like very important. When we started the brand, we used to thrift. We used to buy secondhand clothing. And that's kind of like also where the name comes from, where we used to kind of like, you know, we used to thrift and then kind of like upcycle, kind of like get the idea of how that garment was made.
Okay.
You know, so in everything that we did, we viewed it like that. Even like when I would get inspired by an off-white jacket, I'd be like, okay, cool. How can we unpack how it's created, and then how can we add our own flavor into it? You know, so with everything, it's kind of like recycling thoughts, you know.
Yeah.
So the brand kind of like does that in everything, even from the stories that we tell now.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like recycling those thoughts that existed a long time ago in this world. The stories that were told by our grandfathers, our ancestors, or whatever. How can we recycle those thoughts and educate the now generation? You know?
Okay, so then this is Refuse is starting. You finish school, then what happened? And then you're in Edgar's, right?
Yeah.
So you have a customer who bought the product, who goes to Edgar's. Their manager sees the product, calls you up. You join Edgar's. How does that go from there?
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. You know, I think when I started, I started as a trend designer. I was the only person doing what I was doing.
So what's a trend designer? Sorry to interrupt you. What's a trend designer?
So,
just for those who need to know.
So it's a person that would initially source trends and then kind of like brief like the buyers. You source the trend, you design, you brief the buyers that, guys, this is what's in the market right now.
Okay.
This is what you guys should be buying for your stores. This is the stuff that you guys should be buying for your brands. So at that time, I think there's a brand called J Exchange in Stone Harbor. And I was kind of like involved a lot in those two brands in terms of the colors for the season. I would be the one that briefs the team. Okay, guys, red is an in color, so we should be buying more on the red side of things, you know. I would get to travel with the team. I remember it was my first time traveling. I went to London, the Netherlands. I went to Germany. You know, I couldn't even believe it. But it was an experience for me that was like, when I got that side, I just started buying samples for Refuse. I was like, yo, man, I want my brand to be as dope as this. So I started like also, again, that recycling of thoughts. Started buying stuff, came back this side. How is this made? Print techniques. I'm big on print techniques. I was like, yo, what print did they use here? You know, yo, these guys are mixing print with flock, with embroidery in one t-shirt. That's very, like, it's amazing, you know. But I got to see that when I got to travel. And I was like, yo, there's the kind of like opened up my whole mind. I was like, yo, there's a whole world that we're not exposed to in South Africa, you know. So I think my journey at Edgar's played a huge role in me being here today. And I went back to school, furthered my studies again when I was working at Edgar's, and I was like, yo, while I'm here, let me gather like as much information I can get. Let me also build a brand. Let me also build Malcolm as a human being, and you know.
So you go back at this time to further the studies. Was it still DUT?
Yes.
And what was happening with Refuse at the time? Were you still just making clothes, selling them to friends?
I've always been like very involved with Refuse. We had like a little team at that time, and then I remember, you know, I've always been a person who's optimistic, who wants more. So when I was even at Edgar's, I was like, yo, man, I want more. You know, like, I want people to hear us. I want people to see what we have to offer. So reached out to SA Fashion Week. We entered a competition, and the first year of that competition, we lost. You know, we didn't win, but we made it to the finals, you know, but we didn't win, you know. I was like, oh shit, like, I worked so hard. I spent so much money into this, you know. What can I do now, you know? And I was like, you know what? Let me do it again, you know. I feel like I'm not afraid of failure because I've also failed so many times in my life. So I was like, let me go back and see what happens.
So back to the drawing board.
So I went back to the drawing board. I was at school at that time. So I was like, yo, my year-end school work, I can take it and present it at SA Fashion Week. So now that had like a proper meaning. It had like a proper, it had depth in if you had to chill with me right now and I would tell you about what I was doing at that time, you would be like, you win, you know. But and then we went back, and then I remember like we were like standing in front of the judges. I was like, yo, this is what inspired this.
So this for Refuse, right?
Yeah, that was for Refuse, but that specific work was for my final year at school. Yeah.
So sort of like use that work as part of your,
Yeah.
you like use a school, almost school assignment
Yeah.
as portfolio.
Yes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also my business.
Yeah.
So then we went there and then we won the competition.
Wow.
And I think also like a lot of things started changing from there in terms of, in terms of the brand, in terms of how serious we wanted it to be. And also you also get to see that rules are also not serious, because I'm working a 9 to 5. I'm still putting in my money into this, and I'm still putting my effort and everything, and it's kind of like draining me. And I was like, you know what? Let me just also like resign. Let's focus on the brand now.
Okay.
So,
So what time was this? So just to go back to the award, what award was this?
yeah, so we won the menswear scouting competition. Yeah, the menswear scouting.
Was it with what brand, what board? Was that from Edgar's? Was it SA Fashion Week? Where was that?
Yeah, that was SA Fashion Week.
Okay, SA Fashion Week.
SA Fashion Week won the menswear scouting competition. And then from there, a couple of months later, we get a call from Mr. Price. They're like, yo, we want to collaborate with you.
Oh, wow. So let's jump straight to the Mr. Price project. So how was that?
It was great. It was amazing. It opened up a lot of doors for us. It also introduced a new consumer to us. Yes, he's a young consumer. He's a person that's probably in high school, probably in uni, but that guy now has a piece of refuse in his cupboard, That guy, when he starts working, he knows the brand to buy. He knows that, that's a brand that held me down at my lowest, So that Mr. Price collab was kind of like tapping into that market, a market of people who low LSM? LSM.
Yeah.
Low LSM, yes. Tapping into those markets and also making those people feel like they're important and feel good about themselves. I think that collab was meant for that, And it did super well. I remember like a couple of pieces selling out very soon.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of weeks. It was an amazing experience, even though like our core customer, we kind of like lost him there. But he eventually ended up coming back.
Okay. So Mr. Price happened. So what are the few things you learned there? I mean, is anything you can share with us?
Yes,
Mr.
definitely.
Price?
I feel like with Mr. Price, we also got to know what sells for us. Which is, I feel like, the most important thing. We knew that, okay, in our range, we always have to have knitwear.
Okay.
We always have to have like our tees with art. Always have to have like cabs, denim, So it kind of like also like made us realize that, we can make it. It kind of like, how can this company make so much money from us? Then we have to believe in ourselves too. We need to make like, it gave us that oomph that, man, like if a lot of people can actually buy this, then why are we sleeping on ourselves? Why can't we make this brand bigger? And I was like, I want this brand to be one of the biggest brands in the country.
Oh, this is at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Come Mr. Price. So Mr. Price project does happen. And are you still at Edgar's at this time?
No, I think I resigned a couple of weeks before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I resigned a couple of weeks before that, but yeah, it's mainly because I was also just not happy in the space I was in. I just wanted to grow. I felt like my growth was capped at Edgar's, and yeah, I just wanted to also try something new because I feel like I've always like being comfortable in one space. I've always been in Durban, and I was like, let me try something new. Let me move away from home. And I think around that time, what also played a huge part in me resigning was the fact that I had won the competition Bubblegum Club.
Oh wait, let's just jump back to Bubblegum Club. What's to the world? What is Bubblegum Club? Maybe you can just give us some context. And what was that award?
Yeah, I think Bubblegum Club is a creative agency, so they kind of like. They expose brands to like different communities.
Yeah.
And with with me, like I remember the year before I entered the Bubblegum Club, I think it was Bubblegum Club X daily paper.
Yeah.
And that one I was like, Ish man, I'm still finding myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, Minzo boy, you handle this one. And then the
year after?
The year after, there was the Bubblegum Club X Puma. Yeah, and I was just like, yo, man, I'm taking this one's for me, dog. Like, I want this, and I'm gonna win it. I remember, like, I did the submissions, I handed them over, and then they announced. You know, like, I'm such a bottled person. I'm not a person who goes out on social media and stuff like that. Like, but when that competition like required people to vote. Because like that's like a community based competition.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, there are actually people who fuck with me. Just by like people came with numbers and actually voted.
Wow.
You know, because I think it was a competition in the country or Africa. I can't remember whether it was.
Yeah, but it was quite big.
It was quite big, yes.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I reached out to my people, I was like, yo guys, vote. Yeah, and then obviously that vote, you make it to top 5. And then from top 5, those are interviews.
Wow. So what did you design at this time? What was the range that you put together?
So it wasn't a specific range, but it was more of convincing them why you deserve to be there.
Okay.
So you're telling them about your journey, about the brand. And I realized that a lot of people in that space were coming from a space of being a creative. And what they wanted to hear was like, how do you run your business?
Yeah.
You understand? So they were asking me questions like, yo, if you were in this t-shirt and this sells well, what do you do? You understand? And that's a trick question. Because you could be like, I introduce another one.
Yeah.
You know. But the questions, the answer that they wanted to hear was that, okay, cool, it's selling well. Let me introduce a different colorway in the same thing. You know. So it was basically based on business, on how you want to grow your business, how you want to see it go to the next level. So yeah, I sat down with them. I'm like, yo, this is what I've been doing. This is this, and then yeah, I remember they gave me a call and they were like, yo, Malcolm, wanted to tell you that you won, going. And I was just like, okay, I'm at Edgar's. I'm working at Edgar's. This Mr. Price thing is about to come out. And I got this Bubblegum Club thing.
Wow. So what was the price at Bubblegum Club?
It's to go to Germany at Puma, you know. So you go to HQ and you kind of like experience the, I think I was in the footwear department. You kind of like experience the vibe. You experience how their business model is in the setup. You experience their culture.
Yeah.
You experience, Puma, like.
And how was that?
Yo, I went to Germany. It was so cold. But I went up there and I was like, yo, man, when I leave here, these people must know who I am. So I pulled up. I was the coolest person there, all this dripping, But one thing that I made sure of is that, yeah, I can be cool and stuff like that, but like I'm here to work. I'm here to make sure that this opportunity doesn't end here.
Yeah.
It opens up other avenues for me. So when I got there, they gave me like a brief, to like design a sneaker.
Yeah.
So like I went in. So it's such an amazing experience because I've never done footwear in my life.
Yeah.
Like, yo, now I've designed a sneaker.
Wow.
And then from the sneakers, like color and material. And then from color and material, it's tech packing. And I'm just like, this is so dope, bro. And then I'm just also looking at this like cool kids in this space who studied the same thing that I studied back in South Africa. And they are killing it, And they are working on like bigger projects. And I was like, oh shit, man. I want this shit. I want to be involved in this thing. I want, And then when I was presenting my final work, I remember I had done like a Refuse X Puma like project that I did for myself just for vibes. So just like, by the way, guys, this is what I did. And I remember the guys was like, oh my gosh, send me this now. Like, I want to send it to the creative director. Yo, Malcolm, this is dope. And I was just like, yo, man, I wanted to leave there with an impression, no matter what, because it's easy to forget someone.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget someone.
But the work really translated and
The work really
connected.
translated, and I was like, yo, when I leave here, I want to leave with like, a proper statement, something that these guys, even if a bigger opportunity will come by, they'll call me and be like, yo, Malcolm, this is for you, Wow. So yeah, that Bubblegum Club ex Puma competition happened, and it was really, really amazing. I learned so much in that space, and it changed my life. A lot of things. Yeah, that one there for me is like a very
highlight.
It's a highlight moment,
Your career, yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes like there are certain things that kind of like God, just puts in your life,
Wow.
And I felt like that one there, I had to walk that journey.
Yeah, man. But I guess it's all interconnected in the sense that, I don't believe in coincidence, right? So things are mapped out in a particular way and structure. You having to fail, there was some purpose there, right?
Yeah.
And it really put you in a different framework to meet up your then partner, Minnie, right?
Yeah.
If you look at those key moments, had you been a little bit way too early, I guess we'd never know, right?
Never know. Yeah.
But
every step of the way, I feel like
it leads to the
situations that God removed so many people out from my life that I felt like they were not part of my growth. They were not part of where I want to be.
Okay, so maybe let's just stop there for a bit. Maybe just unpack that a little bit more in terms of God removed some people. Maybe just explain it more in detail. Maybe giving examples to say this is what was going on with me. Maybe I was going to too many parties, whichever way it is.
Yeah.
And how was that? Maybe if you can just give us a little bit more there.
Yeah, I feel like I was just involved with like people like straight after high school, my friends were DJs. So I was exposed to like parties, so we would party. Like it used to be from, Thursday to like Monday, every weekend.
Back to
I
back.
Have a deadline. Malcolm's not doing the deadline. So it was like partying. And I was just like, I failed and I was like, oh man, this is not a part of me. It's not where I want to be, And when I look back again, those same people are still in the same space.
Wow.
And I'm also like growing and I'm like, oh man, I'm a believer of God, so much. And I feel like it's done so much for me. And it's also like introduced me to amazing people in my life. It's always, guiding me in a proper space, and I appreciate that so much.
Wow, man. Maybe let's just, shout out to God. But, you know what I'm saying? But let's just put the God element aside just for one bit, man, because we still can't forget you studying, right? Because, the reason why I'm going to bring this up is because, we've got kids who look up to the brand.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of kids that are failing to find that focus, going through the experiencing similar experiences. And for us to just give credit to God like that, I think it would be a little bit not correct and unfair in the sense that how were you then looking at your studies, man? How were you then refocusing on your focus at the time? We also have to look at the work that you put in because, God alone without action is useless.
Yeah.
As they say, faith without action is useless, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about more. Let's put the faith element aside for a bit. Let's talk about the action, side. What were you actively doing to change that yourself?
Yeah, no, I literally put in the work. Like, if I didn't understand something, I'll ask. And I feel like, again, I was always a shy person in school. I was afraid to ask. And then until I learned that there's no such thing as a wrong answer, ask.
Yeah.
So I started asking if I didn't understand. I started, doing the work. I started not coming up with excuses for doing something. Sometimes I think you also, there's the perspective of, what if? it kind of like also like holds you back from doing something. What if maybe it's not for me? Maybe, you know,
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt, you know. Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. You know, I really have nothing to lose. So, and people don't care too, you know. We worry about what people, this guy cares about this. People have their own problems.
What people think.
Yeah, what people think.
Who are the people?
You know, like, I remember like we used to wear thrifted clothes. We used to be laughed at. I didn't care. I was just like experimenting, finding myself, you know, finding my style, you know, and I found it. You know, I was like, yo, this is who Malcolm is. And I'm not going to change who I am. Yeah. You know, this is the person that I am. These are also my boys. This is the friendships that I want in my life. Yeah. You know, people who also want, I think I also started wanting a good life for myself. And that doesn't come easy, unfortunately. It comes with a lot of doing. Yeah. You do a lot. You work hard. You don't sleep, you know. So I started doing that. I started being a person that, you know, I love sleep, but I started like sleeping at like 2, 3 a.m. Yeah. You know, I started sacrificing a lot of fun. And then that's when I was like, oh, okay.
But I think the word sacrifice in relation to fun is such a big word.
Yeah,
but I hear you, you know, like
I was having fun. I was like, no, actually, fun will always be there.
But it's crazy when you're younger. Yeah. That is like, you know, it's just crazy. Like, you know, Friday you're out. Like, it's crazy what the priorities are when you're perhaps at that age, you know, what those priorities become. And because later on you get to a point where you're like, hey, it's too noisy in this space, right? Right? So you've come back from Puma. Yeah. What next?
So I come back now. When I come back, I'm like, fuck, I'm still stuck in the same space. You know, like I was chilling with like people who are working on projects for A$AP Rocky or Skepta. And now I'm back in the trenches.
Wow. No, but that's crazy, man. But I guess that's why traveling is very important. Yeah. You know, for those who can travel, please do travel. Like, it really opens your mind to new experiences. And to your point, you know, someone who designs stuff for Skepta. Yeah. You know, for A$AP Rocky. And to your point, and you're back in the trenches. So you're in the trenches. Where's your headspace?
So my headspace is like, yo, man, how do I now work hard? How do I now make sure that this brand, because, okay, before then, now, I moved to Cape Town. I think we didn't touch base on that. So,
I mean, okay, so let's go back. How does Cape Town happen? I mean, are you still at Edgar's at this time?
No, so like now I'm done with work.
Did you have a moment at Edgar's where you said, I'm leaving tomorrow? What led to you leaving Edgar's? No, since you said you were traveling
I went to my manager and I was like, yo, man, I'm actually not happy here. Can you please give me more money?
You know? The money conversation.
Yeah. And he said no. And I was just like, you know what? I'm also not going to stay here because I don't see myself growing in this space. And I've been here for like 3 years. And I've been earning the same money ever since, you know.
Oh, wow, man.
And I'm seeing like my peers coming up, you know, they're like, yo, they're killing it now, you know. Some are buying new cars, new phones, you know, better positions. And I'm just like, ish, you know what? Maybe I need to leave this place.
Everyone is doing something cool.
Yeah, everyone is doing like super cool stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me leave, you know. So obviously now the Mr. Price is coming up. Bubblegum Club is coming up with Puma. And I'm like, okay, cool. We get an opportunity to move to Cape Town. We found a person who's like, yo, guys, I can help you guys
scale your business. Yeah.
I can help you, you know, make your product the best. I can make, you know, so we were like, okay, cool. Let's come to Cape Town. Wow. So my first time ever in Cape Town, you know, I've always inspired by the Broke Boys and what they've done. We know each other from social media. We follow each other because we're in the same creative community, you know. So now I'm just like, okay, cool, you know. Let's move to Cape Town. Wow. Get to Cape Town. it's chai, you know.
But before you unpack Cape Town,
Yeah.
how important is it? At what point did you realize that you needed help? Because I mean, you spoke about a partner just now.
Yeah.
And how important are partners when it comes to brand support? Especially, it's two black kids from KwaZulu Natal.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have trust funds. You know, we're making this at the back of the garage. You're not really scaling, like you said. Yes, your friends were making it, etc. But just how important is it then for you?
I think it's
Brands, for any brand out there.
It's also great to get the financial support because we also don't come from, you know, money. You know, so, and we also not financial literate. You know, so you can get 5 million from someone.
Yeah.
You know, to build your brand. And you can chow that money because you don't know how to, you know, like
Yeah,
you can because you don't know how to actually make money from that business, you know. Oh, you want to come up with cool stuff, you want to make clothes, you know. So we quickly realized that, okay, cool. We can get a person who's going to loan us this money, but we can easily chow this money because we don't have structure.
Yeah.
You know, and money follows structure no matter what, you know. So if you're structured, money will come.
Yeah, true.
So we kind of like also needed that type of setup that's structured like that.
So this is Cape Town.
Yeah, that was Cape Town. When he got an opportunity to come this side, and now there was a little bit of structure, you know, in our space, you know. We have a pattern maker, we have a person who does our stuff, our
Manufacturing?
sewing, manufacturing.
Wow.
We have a fabric buyer, we have a trims buyer, we have an accountant, we have, you know, a person at admin, reception. And I'm like, obviously I can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just a kid from Soweto. You know, I'm a kid from Durban, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't afford that, obviously. So I'm just like, you know what, let's take this opportunity and see how we can grow
The brand.
from there.
Wow.
So that's when Cape Town happens.
Now, unpack Cape Town. So then you start, what's happening at this time? How are you building your brand? What are you learning?
Yo, Cape Town was really like you know, obviously we just did them a surprise collab. So also like the brands that we were speaking with, you know, that promised us certain things. I feel like, you know, Cape Town is such a weird place like that because when we got this side, those people didn't even want to touch us. Because now we just did a collab with Mr. Price. The brand is accessible. Do you understand? So I was speaking with a couple of brands like we're speaking with Lemkes, we're speaking with Archived. We're like, yo, man, come this side. We'll put you guys on, you know. And then when we get this side, the guys are like, no, you know. And I'm like, yo, now we have to start from the ground.
Yeah.
Like from the ground. So obviously work on a collection. But since we won the Mr. Prize, you know, the South African Fashion Week, got an opportunity to go to Milan to showcase in Milan.
Yeah.
And I feel like also those little things, you know, they also make brands be like, okay, what else? What else are they doing?
Yeah.
So now we showcasing in Milan. They're like, oh, okay, cool, you know. So we come back this side, we start building that range.
Yeah.
So we start dropping. Obviously, like we are very big on campaigns. So whenever we're dropping something, I want the highest of photographer involved. I want the highest videographer involved. I want to make sure that people see what we're doing. I want to make noise, you know. So we did that, and how we did it was like, okay, cool. We're in a city we're not from the city. We are new from the city. Who can we help? Who can we ask help from?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like shout out to the broke boys. They didn't even want money. They were like, yo, man, fuck with what you guys are doing. Let's model.
Yeah, man.
You know, so the boys pulled up. Everyone pulled up. I remember there was like the African Giants, Jesse and Chris pulled up. We did like a very nice shoot, and by the time we were dropped, there was noise in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Understand? Like people knew that we are here. There's this kids, they from Cape Town. And then that's when we started getting calls from now. There's people that didn't want to.
Who's laughing now?
Like, and I'm like, oh, Cape Town actually wants you to work. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like they want to
see the motion.
They want to see the motion. If you're just chilling and relaxing, you think you're cool, you're not gonna make it. You'll be in one place.
Mentality is too cool. If you're too cool, you freeze.
Yeah, I mean, if you're too cool, you freeze.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened when it got to Cape Town. We launched here, and then
So what's the campaign? I mean, you spoke about campaign.
Yeah.
I take it did a name.
Yes, the name of the campaign was called Ikukwane, which is a hut in Zulu, and we just wanted to tell a story about home. And I feel like for us, it was more of like, also this is not our home, and we're trying to find a home in Cape Town. So that's what it kind of like meant to us. And I was like, okay, cool. Let other people experience that. There are a lot of people who are in Cape Town, and Cape Town is also not their home.
Yeah.
What makes you feel at home? And that was like the collection.
Wow.
And
when was this?
It dropped in December 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I like how people are receiving, and I like the fact that people are like buying. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we did like a nice pop up, like a launch at Influx, and it was really dope.
But I think you're underselling it because, DJ Q was at Influx.
Yeah. Shout out to DJ Q.
Yeah, man. I think if you go online and I actually shot there, funny enough. Yes, I was there. Yeah, but I think we're shooting a music video for DJ Q, actually. That was that. Yeah. But it just became that. I mean, that's how the ideas were. We're like, yo, let's just shoot the music video at the Refuse pop-up. And that's almost where that collaboration spirit of brand strategy, because I think at the time I was talking to your partner, Minnie, and we had these discussions around, because I was like, I think I met Minnie at a pop-up.
You probably met him in Durban.
I met you guys in Durban at the Broke Boys Butzel. Yeah, so shout out to the Broke Boys. So that was also, but it's crazy how just we'll go back in chance encounters, that had I not gone out to start shooting, I would have met the Broke Boys. If I hadn't met the Broke Boys, I wouldn't have gone to Durban.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to Durban, I wouldn't have met you guys.
Yeah.
If I hadn't met you guys, I guess we'll never know. Yeah, because I just also feel like sometimes these full circle moments, we always underappreciate them. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, guys, as entrepreneurs, there's also a lot of luck.
Yes.
That's involved in part of this. However, as one I always say, I don't believe in luck. Luck favors the prepared. So if you're always prepared, you'll always be lucky. And why this is important to everyone else, I don't know how to just break down this a little bit more about chance encounters. It's these chance encounters that lead us to the next place. Yeah. Again, just me going out, meeting Mzwa for the first time, if me going out to shoot, for the first time I made Broke was because of We House Sunday. And at some point through editing all the pictures, I started collecting all these these B caps. I noticed them quite a bit, right? And it was crazy because I was like, eventually I started to create a folder with the B cap just to segue off the Broke Boys. And suddenly I have like 300-400 pictures from just We House Sunday with
the
people wearing B caps. And I'm shooting out, I think, Cabo Beach, and Mzwa was playing. And then I saw him with the B cap. And I'm like, fam, where the hell do you get this B cap? What's this B cap all about? And that's how I met the Broke Boys. But it's through that encounter, building that relationship, flying to Durban. And what's crazy is before I flew to Durban, I actually had resigned to start my agency. And had I not resigned, again, it just goes back to that, So these moments are important. I think the key thing is keep doing the work. I think what we always keep forgetting is I hadn't met Malcolm at that time, but I was also putting in the work. Because why I'm bringing up the story this time is because it was also through going to Durban, I met Q. And it was also through that moment to say, yo, fam, I shoot. You know, you have to also put your hand down.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm bringing this up is, again, you have to go and ask for stuff, guys. You have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to put up your hand. You know, just listen to your story. You know, just you continuously going to ask for money. Had you got that money, you would never have left Edgar's.
Yeah.
So that no becomes quite an important part.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to, guys, not every no is bad.
Yeah.
We always get sad that it was a no, but not every no is bad. So all these moments, guys, it's very important. Again, we're dropping some jewels here. You know, this is just uncle moment. Keep doing the work, guys. I have to say it, keep doing the work. Just show up for yourself, do the work, put in the time. It will connect. I never in my life thought I would meet Malcolm. I never would have even one day woke up and said, I'll dream that. But it's me, from my side, putting the work. You on your end, putting the work. Going to Puma, you know, wanting more for yourself. Every touch point is important.
Yeah.
And talking to people. Things happen outside, guys. Talk to people. That's Uncle's rant for the day. So yeah, so back to partners and the importance.
Yeah. But also, like, I feel like, you know, in my life, I've always wanted, you know, a mentor. You know, I've always been like, reach out to a man in Durban, like, yo, can you please be my mentor? Can you please mentor me? Can you please help me out? Can you please do this? Can you please do this? And then, you know, those people, they don't show up for you, you know? And there's a saying that your mentor finds you.
Yeah.
You know? So I was fortunate enough when I got here that I found my mentor, a person who's helped me out with almost everything that I know right now about the game, you know. And yes, I've put in the work, but it's also you know, Zulu indlela ibuza ngabaphambili, you know. And if you meet a person who can actually help you and guide you through the journey, you know, who can help you not to make that mistake, because that mistake can also cost you
some years,
you know. And yeah, it's been great to also like be fortunate enough to get there when I got to Cape Town. And yeah.
Wow, man. And you know, you said something that's quite, you know, interesting about the mentor finds you. And I think there's a saying that says, I think the saying is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes.
You get me? When the student is ready,
the teacher
will appear.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to you also have to be ready. Yeah. You also have to want it. And I'm just listening to you, you know, you had this thing from earlier on, just being inspired by your friends winning. Damn, you know, the goal, you know, I got a new car, which, you know, those small little things, those almost key life moments, you know, that inspiration also drove the hunger, right?
Yes,
you put in the work, you come in, you still go to Milan, you come back, connect with the broke boys, and this happens. Now you launch this particular campaign, December happens. How is the brand growing at this time?
So now, like, it's difficult because we are relying on, you know, the local stores, you know, in Cape Town to actually like carry our stuff, you know, and it's also just not that easy, you know. So I'm also just like, yo, what do we do now? You know, online we have like, I built the website, but no one is buying. We're getting like 2-3 sales per month, you know. It's tough now, you know. It's getting to a point where we're like, why did we build this brand? Why, you know, what's happening? Why are people not buying? And I was like, yo, man, I sat down with myself. I'm like, it was a very like tough time for me because, you know, as a designer, you also question yourself. You're like, what are you doing wrong? You know,
you're building brand. You're still designing at this time.
Yeah. So from there, I was like, okay, cool. Now we have to get to the next level. And the next level is the hardest, you know, because you have the product. You can have the craziest, the most amazing product. But if you don't know how to communicate that, no one's going to buy. You understand? So I was like, we need to now connect with our consumer. And I was fortunate enough, obviously, that I met my mentor. He was like, yo, man, this is how you can actually do it, So I got introduced to, the SEOs, the back end of, post, sponsored post, and from just that alone, it boosted our business from, making it like 2K per month to like making 40K plus per month, and those are things that I actually didn't believe in. And I was like, oh, and then it was like, yo, Malcolm, let's strategize now. You guys have a brand, you guys have the hottest product, but what you guys also need to do is to build a community. How do you want to connect with those communities? So kind of like reach out to like, other creatives who are in a specific community to tap into their community.
Yeah.
So I remember we did, my favorite campaigns last year, or event last year was the Manor.
Oh yeah, let's just jump straight in the Manor, man. Let's just unpack the Manor.
Yeah. Shout out to Trevor Sturman. So I met Trevor at AKJP. I think he was launching the Manor book, and I was like, yo, man, I'm Malcolm. I've reached out to you, or you've reached out to me wanting to buy something, but then it wasn't available at that time. So yeah, man, I saw you guys are doing something crazy in Joburg. Would like to be a part of it. And it's like, oh no, okay, cool. Let me give you my assistant's number. So gives me Neo's number. I'm like, okay, cool.
Shout out to Neo.
So I reached out to Neo. I'm like, yo, Neo, we really want to do this. I think this is an amazing opportunity. Also, we're underdogs, I feel like Rev is like underdogs. Like, no one see us coming sometimes, So she's like, okay, cool. Let's do it. So we also kind of like start strategizing. Okay, cool. This is how we're going to do the Manor. This is how we're going to execute. And then straight after the Manor, we also realized what people wanted from us.
Yeah.
I think the Manor, kind of like played a huge part into our transition. It played a huge part in knowing our consumer. I feel like when we got here, we also thought our consumer is that young boy who goes to UCT who works at a bar, or who's like just cool on the streets, only to find out that our customer is that guy that's a lawyer or that's working in corporate, there's a doctor. Our customer is that type of person who's willing to, make a purchase.
Yeah, man. And for me, what's great, just to add to what you're saying, is that when I looked at the reports, I think the fact that the data clearly showed, you have that 30 plus young professional, and who would wear your G stars, who would buy the high end product. And for me, just going back to the men, I think also again from the reports, having read the reports, just being able to identify product out of that, because I think the backstory, just to also just jump in, your wallpaper was the actual.
Yeah, the wallpaper was the actual art that was developed
into a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's a very crazy insight, because in these reports, like it using data insights, one thing that we clearly saw was consumers asking about, would that be on a t-shirt? Just that insight from social media, but it's because you partnered with the right activation. So I think also was just to bring this a bit more into perspective, pushing you onto game, guys. So just this is some game, I think these partnerships become important, community-based brands, and as a small brand, just partnering up with the men and just being able to make literally your best-selling shirt.
Yeah, that t-shirt, probably like in the past, how many months? 5 months has been, we probably have sold over 500 of just one style of the t-shirt. For the first time ever in our lives, actually, is like selling that much,
Yeah.
So, and after that, I was like, okay, cool. how do we now capitalize on this? How do we grow that space, you know? And then I remember I sat down with my mentor to strategize, because now the MENA is finished and now we know what works for us. The t-shirt is online, it's selling well. Now we need something on the ground. It's like, okay, cool. Try out the biscuit mill. Let's see how it goes, you know? So we try out the biscuit mill, like, okay, let's see how the biscuit mill
Shout out to Ben. The
biscuit mill also kind of like introduces us to a different consumer, you know, which are tourists. And then eventually we end up, you know, contacting the watershed. And I'm like, I think that was also kind of like a game changer for us, where we now start understanding, you know, how we want to move as a business and how we can get to that consumer, you know. And so in Cape Town right now, I feel like we're in a space where the brand is doing well. It doesn't rely on, you know, other stores to kind of like stock us. We only stock that story, and I like the relationship that we have. Chris, shout out to you. I love Chris so much. He's done so much for us. He's the only person in Cape Town that believed in us. He was like, these boys are onto something, you know, and that's why for me, I want to make sure that relationship is, you know, kept very.
I mean, since we spoke about story, maybe let's talk about the story collaboration.
Yes,
and let's talk about that campaign.
So we started stocking at Story, and Chris was like, yo guys, we should work on a collab, you know. And I was like, yo, why don't we name the collab Untold Stories? And you guys are giving us a platform to tell our stories through your store, you know, through product. And that's kind of like how the idea came. And Chris was just like, yeah, bro, let's do it. You know, so we, from there, obviously, we did the collab. We reached out to Hennessy. Shout out to Lungile.
Yeah, you know, shout out to Hennessy.
Shout out to Hennessy. And then they were just like, yo, man, you know, let's help out, you know. And they really supported us, you know, and we launched the pop-up. And like Cape Town has just been really, really amazing. There's been a lot of opportunities that have unlocked, you know, and there's like now an exciting one that's gonna like, you know, also you know, move South Africa a little bit, because
but let's just jump. I think this something I just want to bring up. I think just through conversations we've had. I think, again, guys, trust in the process is important. Because the story collaboration happened in December, but how long were you? How long did this project go for?
The story collab, the launch happened in December, but we started the conversation in June, July. So it took us kind of like 6 months to actually
get it done.
Get to a point where the product wasn't right. We're like, no, we want it to be perfect. You know, it was like a lot of back and forth. And again, like, things don't need to be rushed. I realized that when you take your time, the end product becomes perfect, you know. And I think that's what I learned throughout that process, that, you know, sometimes you need to sit back and take your time to developing something, you know. And the end product will be amazing if you believe in something and if you nurture it and you love it, you know.
And with Untold Stories, you partnered up with sporting brand A6. How important was partnering up with the brand, and how did that relationship develop?
Okay, so I met a friend of mine. Her name is Shaliz. When I first came to Cape Town, and I think at that time she hadn't started working for A6. So when she started working for A6, she was like, "Yo, Malcolm, would you guys like to come to this event?" So I went to this A6 event, you know. She gave us like a couple of sneakers. And then when we did the Manor, I reached out to her. I was like, yo, I'm attending the Manor, sent an email, can you please support us? And then she sent us some A6 sneakers. And I think that's where the relationship started. And then when we were doing the campaign, I was like, yo, I need a fire brand to be a part of this. Let me just, you know, let me try them out. Let me try and hear what she says. the worst thing I could get is a no. You know, I feel like another thing that I've learned is asking. Asking for help is the most important thing ever in this community that we live in. And the worst thing you can ever get is a no.
Yeah.
So I always ask. So I knocked on that door and she was like, yo, would love to support. I sent her the mood board. She was like, oh, this is fire. You know, I'll send you like 5 sneakers. Let's do it. You know, and then I obviously had like an idea of like a photographer that I wanted to use.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anke for you know, for also unlocking me creatively.
Yeah.
I got to tap into her world. She got to like show me how she thinks. I got to show her how I think, you know. And, you know, I think she was one of like, you know, the easiest photographer that I've worked with. Just like she just understood what I wanted.
Yeah, man. And that's great. And I think just to add on to that, brand partnerships are important. And I think here, just Asics and Refuse, you have similar consumer
Yes.
points. And I just also love how you styled it out with the product, how seamlessly that was. So this also, I think it's also quite important. Also understanding your consumer, guys. I think it's key, because more often than not, you'll see that your brand is also in the same little group with other similar brands, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like we all can get iPhone to sponsor us because we use iPhones, right? It just makes more sense to do that. So I think if brands do ask for help, do reach out to people, ask for help, knock on doors. The community can only grow as much, like you said, if we don't ask. And you launched the Cape Town Story campaign.
Yes.
How has that been going? And then how does the story unfold from there?
So we launched the collection, which is obviously we're still rolling that out, you know, because I feel like sometimes as creatives we focus more on, I want to make clothes, have a fire photo shoot, and then you don't like keep in mind if you have stock of that, you know. And I feel like that's something that I've always been mindful of, that, you know, I can't drop something that I don't have stock of. Like no matter what happens, you know, just because of it looks good on pictures and stuff like that. No, you know. So I remember we shot the story collection in December. I wanted to drop it in December, but I couldn't because I received my stock late. And I was like, let me wait it out. And then we're starting to roll it out now in Jan, which has been an amazing, you know, experience to also get like the feedback from people. You know, there's a lot of people who are reacting in a certain way. And I'm like, oh man, it's always good when people, you know, show love to your work. I think for me, it pours, you know, fuel, you know, into my heart, into my creativity, and it makes me want to create even more, you know. So it's just been an amazing journey, you know. That collection for me is one of like the special ones to come out, because it took me a while to like get the product to be perfect. I feel like, Uncle, you know, I'm a perfectionist. You know, so it took a while. I wanted a specific weight. I wanted, you know, specific trims, specific fabric, you know, specific fits, you know. So it's, I think outside of just the shoot, the process also of just making the clothes has also just been an amazing experience in just understanding my consumer. How do I now pour into that? How do I now give my consumer what they want?
That is, I mean, that's super legit. How important is your visual identity, aka content? Because, you know, when I go on your page, I see a certain look and feel. How much thought do you put into that, and how important is content to your particular brand?
Content plays a huge role. I feel like we positioned ourselves as like a street luxe brand. So the way people visually see your brand should be in a specific way. It should be in the highest, you know. It should be in a nice, expensive space, you know. It should be captured in a space where a person can be like, I want to buy that, you know. And if they're saying, okay, t-shirt is 1,000 rand, they don't mind to buy it at 1,000 rand because of how it's presented to them. You know, that's why like I always fight. I always, I'm always mindful of how I want things to be presented to my customer, because he's a person that, he values quality. He values how he looks on social media. So.
But she's also a she, because I think
Even she,
because the data, fun enough, data tells us that that there are more females buying, because right. So that's, and I think going back to data, just to circle this back up, this is why guys understand your data, understand your consumer.
Yeah.
Brand A and brand B will be totally two different brands, So really understand your data. Don't try and say, what are they doing over there? Look at what your customers are doing. Use data from your website. Pull out that analytics, because these are data-driven insights. So I think this is why unpacking this is important, guys. It's there's more under the surface when it comes to the website.
Yeah.
For example, being able to understand which part of the country are your consumers coming from. I think one of the great elements where there's a big audience from abroad, right? Hence the hottest shade. So these data points become very crucial.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, growing the business, the part that was new to you.
Yes.
Just understanding how do we work with an agency. Shout out to Creative Wednesdays. So, but it's important, because I think for me, it's again just pulling out all these insights from the reports and listening to you right now to say, yeah, but there was a data insight that drove that output.
Yes. Obviously, the data. I remember when you sent it to me, I was like, yo, I never thought my consumer is a female, as a woman. And I was like, oh man, how can we now be more appealing to them? So obviously now, even with future campaigns, now we want to start having, women in our shoots. We want to make sure that, our consumer also feel like they are part of the brand, So the analytics has been also a driving force to how I also think, which has like played a huge role in how I design and how I creative direct the brand, So yeah.
Wow, man, that's crazy. And let's jump into your collaboration with Galaxy Boy. How was that, or how has that been, man? I know by the time people watch this, the drop will be out. So let's talk about Galaxy Boy and the collaboration.
Yeah, so the Galaxy Boy X Refuse, shout out to Vidots for believing, I feel like, he doesn't owe us anything, but he believes in the brand. And I remember I met him at Rockin' the Daisies, and he was like, yo, I was like, oh, I saw him, and I was like, yo, I'm Malcolm. It's like, yo, Malcolm, how are you, bro? And it was like, yo, I have this t-shirt that I want us to do, but I'll hit you up. And I'm like, dude, this is Vidos, bro. Like, but like, the most amazing part was that when I was at Daisy's, everyone was wearing either Refuse or Galaxy Boy. Like, you could just see it. And I was just like, for the first time in my life, I was so emotional. I was like, yo, man, like, people are actually wearing this thing outside and they feel good. They're dripping out like it's like proper, And then that sends me a DM. It's like, yo, Malcolm, can I have your number? I would like to send you the tee. And I'm like, okay, cool. He hits me up same time on WhatsApp. He's like, yo, man, here's the t-shirt that I wanted to do. And then I'm just like, okay, it looks dope, but like, we can make it better. And then I was like, Ish, I know sometimes I get too busy and I forget like to reply and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? For this to actually go smooth, let me hand it over to my agency. Shout out to Creative Wednesdays. And the process has just been amazing, handing it over and making sure that, just from the communication, the designs, everything is done in a proper way, And the communication with Vidots is amazing, because I understand what he wants and he understands what I want. And then, he just said to me, this is what I want. And then I worked on something and he was like, okay, cool, this is dope, but then I think we should take this direction from the concept that I came up with. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. basically that's how you collaborate with people. It shouldn't be just about you. It shouldn't be about me. You know, it should be just about how do we make this thing dope. And the final product has been amazing.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
I feel like it's gonna fly. You know,
I know it is, man. It is, and so the back end of this, you know, just to add to that is, as entrepreneurs, guys, this is not a solo game. And one of the areas of growth is really understanding what you're good at. And I think a lot of individuals want to do everything, guys. We all can't do everything. And I think that's what's important here is that projects take a lot of collaboration, and it's very important to have the right players in the room. You know, I'm an agency guy, so this is something that we very much did building campaigns, is having the right players in the room with different skill sets. You know, it's like you said, it's Vitos really guiding that project, and you saying right now, like, sometimes it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about he knows the base of the consumer. And for me, it's just being able to have this collage of brands that are proudly South African, firstly.
Yeah.
And one of a kind, and just him believing the product. Going back to just talking to you and listening, is you making sure the product was good.
Yeah.
You putting in that particular work, and just him also recognizing that, and you also loving his brand. And this is what we need for the game, for the culture. We need this to really embody entrepreneurs. Guys, think outside the box when it comes to these things, right? And if we are able to continuously collaborate, I think we can do so many big things, man, you know. And it's only when we become a bigger team, we win at scale, you know. I mean, look at Vitos Rich, he's got stores all over, right? Yeah. And this is something that, like you said, what started off as no one wanting to stock, you know, the products.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be with the hottest brand in all the stores across South Africa, right?
Yes.
So it's getting that L and leading to this. So it's very important, guys, trust the process.
Yeah, trusting the process and not giving up, you know. Sometimes no doesn't mean don't do it. No is like, oh, let me try other ways. You know, so I feel like I've taken my no's and like, okay, cool, let me try other ways. It doesn't have to be that way. Maybe it can be that way, you know. And it's just been good to just see that unfold, you know, and get into a point where you're working with one of the hottest brands in South Africa. It's also just been amazing, you know, a person that when I was at school, I was looking up to him like, yo, man, I want to build a brand like that. And he's now saying, yo, Malcolm, let's work on something together, you know. So it's also like a testament that whatever that you put in, you know, will eventually, you know, show no matter what. But the most important thing is actually putting in the work.
Puma, tell us more. Congratulations, I guess.
Shout out! Thank you so much, Uncle. Puma is a new journey that I'm taking right now as a sports style designer in a global team, and I feel like for me it's like a dream come true. It's something that I've always wanted. I feel like when it takes me back to my internship there, I wanted to leave with something.
Yeah.
I told myself that, what do I get from this? Do I just want to just come and then leave, or do I want something that's gonna be also impactful to not only my life but also South Africa and Africa? You know, I'm going there as a kid from South Africa, and I'm going to be a designer at Puma, and I'm gonna be working on amazing projects. And I'm like, I look back to my journey and I'm like, all those failures, all those wins and everything were actually worth it. Everything was worth it. Every bit of it was worth it. It taught me so much about life. It taught me so much about trusting the process, you know, not rushing into things and not skipping steps, you know, because you can miss 10 steps. By the time you fall, you don't know which step to fall back on, you know. So the Puma journey is an amazing journey for me. It also comes back to, you know, every single thing that I've believed in, everything that made me fall in love with what I do, from the people that I've looked up to, the likes of Virgil, the likes of Pharrell, the likes of Nigo, the likes of Ruiji, all those people have been in bigger organizations where they were able to learn so much about how to build a brand and how the design process works and on the highest level. And I was like, I want that for myself. I want to also play a part. And it doesn't end at Puma. In a couple of years, I want to have, I want to be a creative director at a bigger brand while I still run, my brand in South Africa, or at that time it will be a global brand. But that's my vision, and I feel like going up to Puma is a step in the right direction. It's a step in new opportunities. It's a step in it's a step in breaking those generational curses, and I'm a first in my family to actually go out there and work and internationally. And I feel like it's an amazing opportunity, even for the kids at home who never believe in themselves. I'm able to inspire a kid to make sure that their dreams are also valid. So the Puma job, it's not just a job to me. It's part of everything that I've worked for, and it's everything that I've dreamed of. So it's literally a dream come true, and I want to make sure that I learn so much from that space, and it can be impactful to South Africa at large.
Yeah.
It can also allow the brand to be recognized on an international level. It's now about, I'm wearing Puma by Malcolm, and Malcolm also is a designer at Refuse, and that's what it means.
Puma designed by Malcolm. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, that's what it means,
Oh man, but I guess maybe let's go back to Trust in the Process, man. Bubblegum Club, those moments, and just the power of the internet.
Yeah, the power of the internet is the most powerful thing that I have been exposed to in my life. But my thing is always about having something on the ground more than anything, because what if Instagram shuts down tomorrow?
Yeah, man.
What have you done with your life besides just posting images, So, yes, the internet is the most amazing thing ever, but then it's followed by the work, because people on Instagram don't also get to see the work. They just see a cool person who's probably moving in the right direction, but they don't know the actual work that goes behind what you're doing. And that's one thing that I've always focused on, going back to school, getting that degree, it's led me into positions like this. It's led me in spaces, I'm mentioned now in rooms that I never thought I'd be mentioned in,
Nice, man. Oh, man. And what would you like to leave us with, Malcolm?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I honestly want to leave you with, there's a saying that I always say: I was never good at anything except for the ability to learn. And that's all I want to leave. Like, never stop learning, never stop wanting more, never stop wanting to gain knowledge. And that's basically even a message to that kid in me at 15 years old, or that kid that was failing in school. I wish I could tell him that now. I wish I could tell him that, but it took me to go through those opportunities to understand that, learning is everything,
I agree. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, it was so dope. And shout out to you for being here, man. And that's all from us from Creative Lens. This is Malcolm, the Malcolm episode. Thanks, eh? Cheers.
Thank you so much, Uncle.
That's a wrap.